In the quiet and sun-drenched city of Cebu, nestled between the soft hum of the ocean breeze and the rustling of palm trees, lived a young boy named Cemon Dela Cruz, a name that would one day echo across the world, though no one knew it yet. Cemon came from a poor family that could barely afford 3 meals a day. His house was made of bamboo walls and a tin roof that rattled whenever the rain poured, but inside that little home lived a heart and mind far greater than anyone could imagine. Cemon was no ordinary boy. From the moment he could speak, he asked questions that left grown men speechless: why stars moved, how rivers found their way to the sea, and why people could dream even when their lives were full of pain. His curiosity had no limits, and neither did his kindness. Every evening, after helping his mother with chores and feeding their only cow, Mila, Cemon would walk down the narrow path behind his home to sit by the old village well. The well was ancient, surrounded by moss and wildflowers, and the villagers said it was enchanted. But to Cemon, it was more than a magical place. It was his sanctuary, a spot where silence met imagination. He would sit there for hours, looking at his reflection in the water, not seeing a poor boy, but seeing a thinker, a dreamer, a builder of worlds not yet born. Mila, his faithful cow, often followed him there, chewing lazily on grass as if she too understood his dreams. Sometimes, Cemon would talk to her softly, saying, "One day, Mila, I'll make sure no child has to fetch dirty water again. I'll build something that gives clean water to everyone." Mila would moo gently, and that was enough encouragement for him to believe in himself again. Even though Cemon's family had nothing, he never complained. Instead, he found beauty in every struggle. When his classmates laughed at his torn slippers, he smiled and said they helped him walk faster. When the neighbors mocked his strange habit of collecting junk metal and broken radios, he told them, "One day, these things will speak for me." Deep down, he knew that greatness often starts from garbage, just as light shines brightest in darkness. He built tiny machines from discarded parts, making little fans that spun with the wind, and lamps that glowed using the heat of his hands. He didn't have textbooks or laboratories, but he had imagination, and that was his greatest tool. As he sat beside the well, the moon reflecting softly on the water's surface, Cemon often whispered to himself that intelligence wasn't a privilege, it was a purpose. His eyes would sparkle with the reflection of the stars as if he were already part of them. No one knew that this quiet boy from Cebu, who shared his secrets with a cow and a well, was nurturing a genius that would one day inspire millions. Years passed, and the small, curious boy from Cebu grew into a young man whose mind was sharper than lightning yet softer than morning rain. Cemon Dela Cruz never stopped dreaming beside the old village well. His nights were filled with sketches of strange devices made from metal scraps, bamboo sticks, and old wires salvaged from broken radios. What others saw as trash, he saw as the beginning of miracles. His faithful cow, Mila, still stood beside him, chewing grass while he worked under the flickering flame of a kerosene lamp. The villagers called him the boy who talks to a cow and machines, laughing at his obsession. But Cemon never felt insulted. He believed that ridicule was just a sign he was thinking differently. One day, after months of experimentation, Cemon finally created something remarkable, a mini generator powered by the rain. He had discovered a way to harness water droplets to produce energy using rusted bicycle parts, magnets, and copper wires scavenged from an old radio. When he tested it beside the well, a small bulb glowed for the first time. The light was faint, trembling in the night air, but to Cemon, it was a ray of hope for humanity. The neighbors who had once mocked him came running to see the miracle. Their faces glowed in awe as the tiny light flickered to life, illuminating not just the ground beneath their feet but also their long-forgotten belief that greatness could be born from simplicity. news of his invention spread through the nearby villages like wildfire. People from Mando, Bohol, and Dumaguete came to see the boy genius who made light out of rain. Soon, local journalists arrived to take his picture beside the old well and the cow that had become a silent witness to his brilliance. The headline read, "Cebu's rain-powered wonder boy." Scientists from Manila University sent representatives to visit his home, and within weeks, Cemon was invited to showcase his creation in a science fair held in the capital. But even as cameras flashed and microphones were pushed toward him, he remained the same humble boy who once dreamed beside the well. When a reporter asked him how he felt about being called a superhuman genius, Cemon smiled shyly and said, "Genius is not about how much you know, it's about how much you care." Those words struck a chord across the Philippines. He spoke of his mother's sacrifices, of Mila's quiet companionship, and of the children who still fetched water from dirty streams every morning. He promised that every invention he made would serve the poor first, not the rich. When Mila later fell sick from old age, Cemon sold the only prototype of his generator to buy her medicine, even though scientists wanted to purchase it for thousands of pesos. That act of compassion proved that true intelligence isn't just measured by the mind, it's measured by the heart. The day finally came when Cemon Dela Cruz, the once poor boy from Cebu, stood beneath the dazzling lights of New York City, ready to receive the World Humanitarian Genius Award. The Grand Hall was filled with brilliant scientists, entrepreneurs, and global leaders, all dressed in elegant suits and gowns. But Cemon stood out, not because of fame or status, but because of his simplicity. He wore a barong Tagalog, woven by his mother's hands, and carried in his pocket a small locket with a picture of Mila the cow and the old village well, symbols of the life that shaped him. As his name was announced, the audience erupted into applause. Yet Cemon's eyes were not on the golden trophy waiting for him on stage, they were on the memory of his humble home, his mother's smile, and the soft eyes of the cow that had once listened to his dreams. When he began to speak, the entire room fell silent. His voice trembled, not from fear, but from emotion. "I am not here because I am the smartest person in the world," he said. "I am here because I never forgot what it means to care." He told the story of his childhood in Cebu, the days of hunger, the laughter of the villagers, and the nights beside the well where his ideas were born. He spoke of Mila, the loyal cow who had kept him company when he felt alone, and how he sold his greatest invention to save her life. Many in the audience wiped away tears as Cemon described how intelligence without compassion is like light without warmth, it may shine, but it cannot heal. As he continued, his words grew stronger, more heartfelt. "When I was young," he said, "I thought genius meant solving the hardest problems. But now I know, genius means solving the simplest ones, the ones that make people's lives better. The world doesn't need more minds that compete, it needs more hearts that understand." His message echoed through the hall, touching even the most skeptical souls. People who had spent their lives chasing wealth and recognition suddenly realized that the true power of intelligence lies not in invention alone, but in intention, the reason behind what we create. When the ceremony ended, the audience stood in a long, thunderous ovation. Cemon bowed his head, tears streaming down his cheeks. The golden lights of the stage reflected in his eyes, but all he could see was the gentle moonlight over the Cebu well and Mila's soft gaze. Reporters rushed to capture his every word, and within hours, his speech spread across the internet, inspiring millions around the world. Schools began teaching his story, and children everywhere learned that even a poor boy from a small city could change the world, not with money or privilege, but with belief, kindness, and the courage to keep dreaming. Cemon Dela Cruz had not only become one of the world's smartest people, he had become one of its purest hearts, proving that the greatest form of genius is love itself.